microphone.
It's the history of microphones.
All right, guys, thank you so much for coming. We will have this for about 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm going to call on each person, so please raise your hand and I will get to you. But this is the Daryl Dixon cast and creatives as all of their...
It says on.
Yes. All right, we'll start with you here.
When this season fades to black, what questions or what impressions do you want lingering in silence?
Wow.
This season or next season?
This season. You mean this season, right?
This season.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I knew it.
Oh, this season, there's a. Do I use this?
I want to be clear.
Do I use this? Oh, I do. Wow.
That's it. You picked. That's pretty impressive.
What?
The one you picked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys.
There's dialogue that was introduced coming out of the shuttle look, all we do is we run and we fight, There's got to be a better way to live. Thank you. Right? And as the characters get older and the world gets more settled and populace gets more easier, there are people around us that are making lemonade out of lemons and making it work. That storyline, that idea really goes into the next season. It kind of sets up the next season. That's probably the biggest one I can think of. Right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
You right there. Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you for being here. This question perhaps is a little loaded. The Walking Dead has had many spin-offs.
Looking at you.
Are you worried about it suffering from franchise fatigue?
Well, in a brief way, no. But we've been trying to make these shows as different from each other as possible. At its height, Walking Dead was making 42 hours of television a year. We're making decidedly less, and people complain about it to me. But we want to make more. Right now what we're doing is very different entertainments. We've been going through like this fourth phase, more classic characters in sort of very different circumstances. We hope to mix it up with some experiments and classic characters as we go. Oh, I thought it's all of these.
No, that's his.
Oh, shit.
You actually. That's what I said. You grabbed the right.
Well,
mic.
point it. You want to turn it
there's
around,
four of
though.
them.
You want to turn that around.
Okay.
But you got to turn his mic around.
Oh shit.
We're trying to make it as different as we can. And if you look at Daryl Dixon and you look at Dead City and you look at The Ones Who Live, those are very different shows. What they have in common are basically characters that people love, but very different stories with very different sort of story values.
Hi, I'm Luciano from Notícias da TV Brasil. I wanted to ask you about the change of the show to Spain last season. We saw it creatively, how it affected the show. I wanted to ask Norman, how did it affect you on an acting level, being with the Spanish cast and having this new scenery around?
Great. There's a real passion with the Spanish people. They like to hug, they like to talk to family, come eat with us. And, it's been really fun working with them. It's funny when you speak to a Spanish crew member because they want to keep going, they want to talk. French a little bit less. New York, not at all. You know what I mean? So it's been fun working with them, but also the places that we film have a lot to do with our storyline. A lot of like we filmed in Peletier, where the Spanish Civil War was. That's in that storyline. So the architecture, the people, it's been a real joy. And also they really love the show in Spain and in Europe in general. They freak out for it. So it's not, people love to go to work every day. They talk about what we're doing. They're excited about what we've done. It feels a lot like the earlier seasons of the flagship show. It feels like that. I've been chasing that ever since. You know, it's like a lightning in a bottle sort of feeling. It has that.
You in the blues.
In the last episode of the air, there's a scene where you're defending the lemon road. You asked for a receipt for a bundle of rose. Not a deliberate nod to backstage.
I told them that people were going to see that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, but I knew that people would figure that out. That was my favorite.
Flashbacks while filming or anything?
Pardon?
Do you have any flashbacks while filming? Bring back some good memories? Or anything?
No, but I mean, we're in talks now doing another Blue Duck Saints. We've been in talks for a minute. And to make a bigger budgeted, bigger version of what we've done. No, but when I saw that, I was like, people are going to say this is that. But I caught it too.
You're the hack.
Well, your character, Melissa's, have experienced quite a global journey over the last decade and a half. Carol wasn't supposed to leave the prison, and Daryl was created solely for the show. How do you explain the enormous popularity and longevity that these two characters have had over such a long period of time?
Ooh, I could break that down individually or together. I think, Daryl's a character that doesn't lie. He's gone from this to somebody that he can be proud of being. For Carol, both those characters have suffered from abuse, right? I think that was kind of the common thread that brought them together in the beginning. But I think those two characters together, if you could hire two actors to play people that are that close, but you wouldn't feel it like you feel it with Daryl and Carol. I think we've earned that. We've worked together side by side for a long time, so I think it's a very genuine, earned relationship. So I feel like people can sense that. I mean, I know any scene that I do with her, we're gonna have that automatically. Even to the point where, like, I know it's coming, and I'll try to fight it, but it's impossible. She tears up, my tear up. It's just how that works. But I feel like it's an earned relationship. I feel like that's the difference.
And I would say that Daryl and Carol, in a lot of ways, are about the joy of television, in as much as it was a discovery along the way. They'd had their first scene together, and it was like, oh my God. Those discoveries that you have in television, the stuff you can't plan, that stuff turns out to be some of the best stuff on TV. So,
our first scene ever together, she was supposed to pickaxe her husband, and I liked her, and I didn't really know her yet. I kept tipping the pickaxe and more blood and guts, and so every take it would be worse and grosser. And finally, she just give me that. And I was like, oh, I like this guy. That's kind of how we met.
I was lying on the ground holding the dummy.
That's right.
I was lying on the ground holding the dummy.
A question to Scott, because you guys divided the paths of the most popular characters from the Walking Dead to different spin-offs. Is there any plan of reconnecting them in some way, or and what's up with the movies? Are they dead or?
well, the movies definitely, we moved towards focusing on television. That's an easier one, because the movie business had changed so much even while we were working on it, and it's still changing. As far as bringing them all together, that's a dream. That's not like a dream that can't happen, but right now it's just sort of in the lab and hopeful, and you never know what can happen, sort of thing. But yeah, right now it's a dream, but it's definitely not impossible, and it's definitely something we're going to try someday.
Thank you.
I want to ask about how did this latest episode, which was really, I would say, emotional, really good, nice side quest with a couple funny points in it. How did that come about? And also, was there a plan to kind of start touching on different parts of civilization that has been isolated and we haven't really seen in the Walking Dead universe?
Yeah, there was a bunch of elements that came together on that episode. One was just, we knew that we were filming in Spain where all these spaghetti westerns were made, and so Jason and I, Jason writes a lot of this, most of this, we designed the stories together. We wanted to do one that really leaned into the Sergio Leone of it, and used the location and we just thought it was a cool idea to say, what would happen if Sergio Leone made an episode of The Walking Dead with Daryl Dixon? That was just a cool notion. That combined with the idea of finding pockets in the apocalypse that we hadn't told stories about, which included thinking about like what diseases might get out of control that aren't necessarily out of control now, but could get out of control 12, 13 years into the apocalypse. and that led us to the leper colony idea. Plus, we were taken to this place, Belchite, that Norman talked about. And we're like, we got to do something here because this is too freaking cool and amazing, and the history of it was so interesting and fascinating. So all of those things kind of came together, and as all at the same time, kind of, and landed. And there were some other things too. I won't go on too long, but that all is sort of where that episode came out of. But Jason and I sat down and watched Once Upon a Time in the West and a couple other Sergio Leone movies, and we were like, okay, let's start thinking, how would Sergio Leone do a zombie story in our world?
Yeah, that pause when the two guys were fighting, it was kind of disturbing.
The pause.
Oh, it was great. Whose idea? Was that the actor's idea?
I think it was Paco's idea, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think it was Paco's idea.
Yeah, that was great. I love it. I stole his bathrobe.
Yeah, you love that leopard print bathrobe with fake blood on it.
Yeah, I couldn't get the blood out either.
Okay. So no, I'm not just going to make a pun. We're going to move on.
Right here.
Hi, Tita Butler, I'm with Social Magazine. So I think there's always that moment where the fans are disheartened because you will kill off a main character. Which has been the one that has been the hardest? This is for each of you. Which one has been the hardest to let go of, and why?
On this show or in
general,
the history? Oh.
In general.
Can't we just keep it to this show?
I mean, if you want.
No.
I can only speak to this show, so I'll start, because these guys can all speak to the history of The Walking Dead. I can only speak to The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. I mean, Isabel was a tough one because Isabel was bringing amazing things to the show. Clemence was amazing. Norman and Clemence were great together, but there were a bunch of reasons that that story had to go that way. But that was a hard one. Stephen Merchant this season, we love him. We love working with him. We love that character, and but the nature of the show is it has to keep moving forward. It's sort of a road show, and we've had the great fortune of having great actors play these really interesting characters, and there are many times where you're like, I kind of want to keep them around, but we got to move on, and we have to keep the reality of the world in terms of the danger and the risk and the threat of death. So, yeah, that's how it's rolled. But the easy answer to your question for me and for a lot of us, I think, would be, for this show, would be Isabel.
It's funny when you think about the main deaths in the show, most of them were done by other humans. They weren't done by zombies.
Right.
And I think that was always important. For me, Herschel was really powerful because they were trying so hard to stop it. And, it was always interesting because the characters on the show, it's like you could never talk about the script before the actors got the phone call from Scott or from somebody saying, this is going to be your last episode. And Scott Wilson came to me one day and said, they're fattening me up. I feel it coming. It's coming. And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? And then I think like 2 days later, Scott's like, yeah, Scott Wilson, Herschel's going to go. And
you can tell,
yeah, if you really watch, if you looked at the tea leaves, you could see it.
They had a lot of dialogue all of a sudden.
Speeches about their life.
Yeah, or they had an A story in one script, and all of a sudden it was like, I'm getting a lot of screen time. This is great.
I like when these things devolve into a roast, because Comedy Central doesn't do enough of them.
Oh, good.
I love it.
This one?
Hi, Mom.
And then two, for everybody, because you have the character, what are some of the landmarks out there still on your bucket list?
Ooh, I'd love to do Asia. Roll into Kyoto or something. That'd be great. Africa would be cool. Egypt would be cool.
We've talked about these things, so I have the same answers, to tell you the truth. I think, for me, and Greg, we talked about Morocco and Africa in general, and we've talked about Asia. I mean, I think Kyoto and Japan would be great. I also think Korea would be super cool, and is great at this kind of filmmaking, actually, So, a lot of cool places that I think The Walking Dead could still expand into and would show interesting things that we haven't seen in the universe yet.
And we've worked on some things that didn't come to be, and maybe one of them might. But as far as Daryl Dixon goes, I get very excited about these basically all the places that we were talking about. But I lean towards Japan quite a bit. But it's all just a possibility right now.
Ooh, a bunch. Me personally, just about me and the job. I've developed a work ethic I didn't know I had. I kind of came into acting by accident. I didn't know it's what I wanted to do. I did a lot of independent films in the beginning. I miss independent film days. I miss them. I was always kind of creepy. I kind of have that look like I'm going to steal your purse. You know what I mean? So those are a lot of the roles I did. But you know, this job, like, I really like. I got interested in the art of it, the editing of it, the lighting of it, the writing of it. I really got involved, especially in the Daryl Dixon of it. I like to know. I like to know what everybody does. I like to, I'm really interested. The parts of Daryl, his characteristics, he never lies. He doesn't waste time. He's not really interested in the superficial. You know what I mean? He doesn't care if his clothes are ripped or his hair's a mess, or he's dirty. But the honesty part is great. You know, it was kind of written after Merle died to be kind of a racist, kind of a drug taker, kind of a creep. And the writers let me do something with him that I'm really proud of. I wanted to grow up like that and be embarrassed of it, right? Be more of an Al-Anon member than an Alcoholics Anonymous member, you know? And once Merle died, it gave him an opportunity to, like, stand on his own 2 feet and slowly become the man that he wanted to be, right? Everything kind of came at everybody like this in the beginning. It kind of got to this point. Either he was going to fight you or he wasn't going to hide you. And I admire a lot about him. You know, tells the truth, means what he says, protects the people he loves, doesn't back down. So there's a lot of that.
Norman, this is for Norman and Greg. Recently came out, there's a huge auction of Walking Dead memorabilia. I'm a prop guy, so this stuff kind of like blows my hair back. Is it kind of amazing to know that like Daryl's bike is going to be someone in someone's garage, or his crossbow, or whatever? Any of those little things you may have taken for granted day to day?
I'm just saying, I have a vest from every year. Just saying, you know what I mean? And he's got a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of sad to see the auction, I'll be honest with you, because there's so many memories tied to all those things. I'm glad that they'll go to people that love the show. That's good. But it's wild. It's wild. Even the Winnebago's on there.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing's
And it's
got a
filled with
stink
mold.
so
It's so gross.
Yeah,
It's so
and half
gross.
those bikes, those choppers, they don't start. We put electric starters on there, like they were a problem.
The catalog is 600 pages, and I looked through it, and it was a trip down memory lane. And looking at it and being like, oh, I remember picking that prop, and I remember putting the blood on that piece of wardrobe. And so I thought I was gonna. I actually had a really unique reaction to it, because I feel like now it's like a little visual Bible, which I kind of actually appreciate being able to look at. And look, I'm a collector too, and I've kept things from the set, because that's what I do. And like Norman said, for people to be able to have an opportunity to keep something from the show that means something to them, that's what collecting is all about. Is you're you're capturing the essence of something that you love in a physical piece.
I've got Scott Wilson's ponytail.
You still have it?
His real ponytail in the back in the zipper. And I have Rick's beard.
Beard, yeah, I remember that.
See, that's
But,
real
I don't-
collecting.
Maybe that's
Yeah,
too
that's-
gross for an auction, but
That's
I got
professional.
the real thing.
Yeah.
His little tiny little white pony. He's like, I cut it off. I'm like, can I have it?
Go ahead, back.
This question is for Nick and Norman. I was lucky enough to dine at your restaurant in Savoy, and I noticed today you have 5 of those now.
We do.
My favorite piece in there is that large cast photo that resembles the Overlook Hotel in The Shining.
Yeah.
I'd like you to share that with the story behind that photo with everyone here.
Didn't you make
It's
that?
such a
I made
wonderful
that. Yeah, I was.
conversation piece.
Look, I mean, you know, it was interesting when we started Nick and Norman's in Sonoy. We didn't want it to be a Walking Dead themed restaurant. We just wanted it to have a little bit of personality of Norman and I.
First, it was a bar for the
It was a
Teamsters. That's
it was a bar like that we could go after working, and then they're like, "Well, you have to serve food." And I called Norman. I'm like, "It's a really terrible idea. Should we do it?" He's like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we did it.
All the
But that,
Teamsters would barbecue in the park, and
Yeah.
it smelled so good. And
Yeah.
we're like, let's have a bar and make them cook the food.
yeah. So we put that together just as a way to sort of get all the Walking Dead characters in there. I think we stopped after like season 7. So there's a lot of the newer characters would see that and be like, "Well, how can I get on that?" Yeah, we knew it.
Also, like their moonshine, like in Georgia, moonshine's a thing. Like, who makes the best moonshines?
Our drivers make the best.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, like, they'll come up and they'll try his blueberry, and then the other one would be like, peach, I think those sucks. And I think it's like a competition.
Yeah,
for
with
moonshine.
the drivers.
I was hoping the moonshine would be in the restaurant.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Yeah, I think it's illegal. But thank you.
Yes, we have time for 2 more questions. So you in the red.
Just anything season 4 as far as any closure, anything. We'll keep it between us.
Well, you will get some closure. You will feel like you got to the end of a journey by the end of season 4 for both Carol and Daryl. You will also see France and Spain sort of coming together in story ways that are both happy and scary, meaning some good things from France and some bad things from France that kind of meld into the story in Spain. So you will feel really, I think, a culmination of the 4 seasons of Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. And it will be that's the trick of it. The trick of it is a satisfying resolution to this 4-season story. But that's neither a dead end nor like a non-ending. Yes, yeah, no pun intended, exactly. But I think we're in the process of really delivering that. That's been very much a focus of ours for months, and we're about to shoot the last 2 episodes, and I think we have a really good setup to make the audience feel like, wow, this was a great freaking journey I went on for 4 years, and something changed and something happened and got resolved, and yet there's still another horizon that I can imagine in the future.
Is that a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've been a part of this for so long, I just wanted to know, was there any moment more confident enough to keep it going? Any doubts? What keeps you coming back?
No, not really.
It's always yes.
It was kind of scary in the middle. The flagships when they got really big. It was huge, and everybody, every new actor would come on, and they're already a doll and a lunchbox, and you had those early actors who really treated it like an independent film. They were out in the woods. And everybody had each other's backs, all the actors. Like, if you had a big day, we had to, like, say a bunch of cry, like, people left you alone. Like, we wanted you to succeed. As the show got bigger, it kind of got scary because the money took over, the factory took over. And I've been kind of chasing that early feeling ever since, right? And that with this show, it feels like the early season. So I think, me personally, that's what I was always kind of like chasing, right? And we're doing it, so that feels good. But I wasn't scared. I was just, I saw all my family slowly start to die off and whittle away. And Andy used to call me in the car on the way to work. What did today? What we're gonna do? He's gonna do this. we talk in my trailer. He ate every lunch in my trailer, okay? And we talked about the scenes and this and that. And then we'd get in the car, drive away. As soon as we got out of the parking lot, we'd call each other, talk about what we're going to do tomorrow. Okay? And I missed that because the Stephen Yunns and the John Bernthals and the Andys, they started to leave. And I'm kind of there by myself. It felt like I had Greg, I had Scott, but it felt like actor-wise, nobody wants to come talk to me in my trailer, like, you know what I'm saying? And then the new actors would come on, and some of the actors, I kind of wanted to, this is how we got, I wanted to beat it into their head, like, you know, like, this is how we got here. But it's hard to explain it, you know? So I was always chasing that feeling that I had, because, like that first question, I didn't know if I wanted to be an actor, really, but that feeling is what I wanted, you know? So it feels like we're doing that again.
Thank you guys for coming. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do other people think these are for the people?
Yeah.